Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch. And on today's show, this is going to be a great one. And we'll turn it into a two-parter because it's such a good one. It's your questions and our feeble answers.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many questions. It's ridiculous.
So many.
Yeah, I think we've got about 30 or 40 questions or something to get through. And I mean, in all honesty, we started recording it last night. And after we got to about an hour, we were like, yeah, this is going to have to be a two-parter.
100% two-parter. Yeah. However, in our quest to answer your questions, that's what we want to do. As stupid as some of them are, there's some very credible ones in there.
There's some very good ones in there as well. But before we get into this, we've got a couple of discount codes for you. So if you fancy 10% off Surface wetsuits, that's SRFACE. That is UK Surf Show 22, UK Surf Show 22, and that will get you 10% off at Surface wetsuits.
If you fancy 15% off anything at Northcore, then the discount code is UK Surf Show 15, and that will get you 15% off anything on the website.
Yeah. So also, if you check out our Buy Me Coffee page, and there's a £1 membership for the year, and there is additional discount codes for there for Logfin Co, for Surf Gripped, for can't even think off the top of my head. There's quite a few there. Cosin, Golden Boy. There's quite a lot of codes there, so go and check them out as well.
And there's some big ones coming on there soon as well. Should we mention that?
Should we mention that?
I'll mention it.
Go on.
It's not a discount code. Oh, I'm going to do it. It's going to be a discount link, okay? And these are for companies like GoPro. So the new GoPro is out. If you fancy a new GoPro, there's going to be a link on there with huge discounts that you can use, but you've got to be a Buy Me a Coffee member.
Yeah, so easy enough to do. And you can get the Buy Me Coffee membership for £1 for the year. That £1 basically just covers bots not getting into it and being able to read the codes. Like when you put a code on the internet, if anything reads it, you've done it yourself. You know, you're going to buy something. You're going to buy something, and you type in, the first thing you do is discount code for this place, and it just stops that happening. So
I guess I do the modern equivalent of that, because I just find whatever the company is and see if they've got an Instagram account, and I'll stand outside and DM them. I definitely
if I can have one of these. Well, I'm outside now as it goes.
I just so happen to be here.
Yeah, and also before we get into this episode, you had a video that you put on that went a bit nuts.
I guess it would be mental to not address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I bought an elephant. and it couldn't get up the stairs.
Literally, there's just zero. I thought I was the stupidest person on the planet for seriousness, and I've met you, and you're just literally, every time I text you, all I get back is, "Who's this?" And you think it's hilarious, and it's just, I'm just like, you're just a dick. Just answer the question.
What I love, especially in the middle of a long conversation on text with someone, they've responded to you, so you've established who each other is. Yeah. If you just throw in a, "Who's this?" and if they reply going, "Oh, it's Pete," then you've won. But yeah, no. So I guess I wanted to speak about this because it's been a big deal, and I think I've probably lent towards it whilst we've been recording in the past, and I've said a few times that, you know, there's a few things going on in my life and stuff, and I've never actually mentioned it, and I didn't want to because I didn't think I was ready to.
Yeah.
I still don't know if I am, even though I did. And to be fair, I only mentioned it to you, I think the day before Special K went in for surgery, or after we last filmed, because, you know, I just wanted to know what was going on. And so for probably 2 months now, 2 months ago, we found out Special K had breast cancer, which was just absolutely devastating for so many reasons, apart from the obvious.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I've literally grown up around breast cancer my entire life. Or not breast cancer, but that, and amongst other types of cancer. And I've never really escaped it, and my loved ones having it. You know, I've lost 3 family members in as many years to some form of cancer. So I never saw this one coming. You know, my whole life I was expecting to get cancer. I was always prepared for it. So, but this I wasn't, and it really took me by. It was like the world going, "Surprise!" And it really caught me. It really, and I've really struggled with it. So when my mum died of cancer last year, I wanted to, because I realised what surfing done for me, even though I think I knew that before.
Yeah.
But I realised even more so how important it was in my life. And I wanted to go make a video exactly about that, or a film from my own experience and perspective. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I thought that if it helped someone, then it was worth the grief for me having made it, And then this happened with Special K. And I considered doing that again. And then I spoke with Leighton quite a bit, and I'm sure the listeners know what's going on with baby Effie as well. And Leighton said, he suggested that very thing to me. He said, because he's a bit like me, he's an emotional retard, just can't deal with his own thoughts like I can. The thing is, it's not that I can't deal with my own thoughts. I can't bring my own thoughts to fruition. I don't necessarily know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I might be
you haven't got the word. You haven't got the words to express it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I might be pissed off. I might be upset, but I might not know why.
I think that's a man thing as well.
You reckon? Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah, because the women are a lot better at expressing how they feel than
absolutely,
men are, just in my experience anyway.
Yeah, and Leighton said, just go film yourself and talk to yourself. And he said he found it helpful. And I was like, do you know what? I'll do it. And I hadn't done it with the intention of posting it, but I was aware that, I still wanted to do that. So I think this was only 2 weeks after we found out what was going on. And actually, the day I found out, or we found out about the cancer, was the day that we filmed with Logan at the Wave.
I don't know how you got through it, mate.
No, I don't. But I think, to be honest, the distraction was welcome.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't bear to think about it. Regardless, I wasn't able to go home anyway with work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't great, but so I filmed it. I went for a surf, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And I done it. I grabbed everything out, just sat on the beach, and I filmed it. And actually, again, I wasn't content I was going to post it, but I came back and I watched it, and man, it was the hardest thing. It was honestly nails trying to watch it. I couldn't. Yeah. It took me a month to edit it, because every time I watched it, it was hard hearing myself open up like that, because I've never done that. I let Special K see it, and she agreed that, if it helps one person, then it's definitely worth posting it. Yeah. And loads of people said to me, it must have been hard to post. And to be honest, at the point I decided I was going to post it, posting it was easy.
Yeah.
Like, making it was hard, and putting it together was harder. It was horrible. And honestly, the Inertia shared it literally straight away, which I was really surprised, and I'm really humbled and thankful that they did, because honestly, I have just a tiny bit of faith restored in humanity, because not one single negative comment, all positive, all supportive. It's taken me 3 days and I felt the least I could do was reply to every single comment and every single DM, which I think I've now done.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who opened up, shared their similar experiences or their reasons for surfing, or more importantly, a guy in the States commented on the Inertia's version of my post, saying that he'd never seen surfing like that. He just goes out and surfs and loves surfing, and that's it. Yeah. But he will now go into the water with a different appreciation of what other people are using surfing for. And for me, and I think that was the first comment, actually. And straight away I was like, man, that's all I wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And like, I had a look. I don't think there's been any post, as far as I've looked back, that's had as much engagement on the Inertia's pages. I think there's like 200 comments.
Yeah.
And the same on my own page. And I just wanted to thank everyone, or anybody that took the time to comment, because it was more welcome than I probably even realised at the time. I thought it was really, really kind. And it's horrendous how many people are going through similar circumstances, but they are. And, for those in the know of what surfing can give, man, it's given me everything. So I hope that anyone else can do the same.
I was fucked watching that video, mate. I literally, the first bit it came on, and I just saw you go something like, as you're walking towards the camera, talking to yourself, going, I don't want to fucking do this. This is going to be fucking horrible. And I was like, I was in then, and I was watching it. I was like, for fucking hell, man. Like, just, that was difficult to get through. So fair play to you, because it is difficult to open up. As you said before, like, as a guy, always been told to, like, man up and be strong, and, you've got to be that rock force, and it's difficult to sometimes get those words and feelings out of you.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I think you did a brilliant job on it, and I think fair play to you.
Cheers, mate. And Special K came out of the hospital yesterday.
Yes.
So she's had her operation. looks like everything's gone well. Hopefully it's all been removed. We'll find out in time.
Yeah.
But she's finally back at home because a horrendous place to be in the hospital. We had a good laugh when I was pushing her around on the hospital wheelchair with the turning wheels at the back. I don't know what that's about. But
tell the story you told me earlier on the phone. Tell that story.
So when we were leaving the hospital, I'm pushing her on the wheelchair. And because it's a long drive back to where she stays, and I was like, oh, I need the toilet before we go. So I parked her on the wheelchair. I parked her at the entrance door to the male toilet. Right, I mean, her feet were touching the door, and I just left her there for a minute. She's like, "You can't leave me here." And then I sort of pretended to go in, and then I moved her. And as I tried to move around the corner, like between these big fire doors, there was this little cove way.
Yeah.
It was like went nowhere, but just a cove, literally just a little bit wider than a wheelchair. So I just pushed her in the wheelchair into the cove facing the wall, so I knew where she would be when I came back.
Good stuff like that always makes me laugh. Stuff you got to have I think the hospitals are one of the places you've got to try and have a laugh because they're such a depressing place, aren't they?
It's grim, and I think again, partly growing up because I spent my whole life in hospitals. It's why now, like even if my leg's actually hanging off, that's still not quite enough to convince me to go.
Yeah.
Like I'll do anything to not go. I hate it.
Yeah.
But it's a means to an end. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Before we go into the next bit, have you got a message you want to put in from her as well, or is that going to be on your Instagram?
She's recording it, but she's gonna send me. I said no rush because I don't know when you'll.
Yeah. So shall I say it so it can be dropped into here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you want to say it, then
no, go for it if you want to say something.
Yeah. So also, Special K's recorded a little message, hasn't she?
She has
to say thank you for all the support.
Yeah, she has. And again, thank you to everyone. Genuinely, it's meant the world to us both. Cheers.
Yeah, so here you go.
Hey, it's Karen here. I just wanted to say thank you for all the support and love that was sent my way, just in response to Scott's post that he shared with regard to everything that we're both going through and we're facing, and how much he needed surfing to reset his thinking and get him in the right headspace. I also just wanted to say that I was just really proud of him for doing that and being able to share his feelings in such a public platform. I think it's really important that people can talk about their feelings and share how they're feeling. And I recognise how hard that is for some people, but it's so important so that you get help and so that you are able to just process your own feelings. I am doing really good post-surgery. Shuffling around a bit, but every day is getting better and a bit easier. And I couldn't have done that without the support and love of Scott, aka Mitch, and my family and friends. Once again, just a massive thank you to everyone for all the love and well wishes. And super proud of Mitch for sharing that. And it's great that he can use surfing as a tool to get him back on track, and other people have access to that as well. So all the love. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, babe. What an absolute legend and a star for doing that. I love you so much.
You're a soppy bugger, really, aren't you?
I am I don't. And listen, I don't pretend to be otherwise.
Yeah.
I am all about Special K, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, it should be. You'd have to tell me what that's like.
Well, Jude messages me all the time asking what it's like to love your partner.
Yeah, tell me about it. I know.
And in other news, I decided to buy a new board this week.
Yeah.
Last week, I decided to listen to my own advice on that very post we spoke about how important surfing actually is. So I thought maybe I took it a little bit too literal, and I went out and decided to treat myself to a birthday present surfboard. Now, there's two boards in my life that I've been desperate for. One's a Channel Island Rocket Wide, squash tail, and the other one is a Channel Island neckbeard.
Yeah.
The reason, based on two of them boards, one suits my surfing ability, but the other one suits the sloppy, choppy waves I tend to surf. So I think I need both. So between the two of them boards, which one do you think I went with?
To be honest, mate, I wasn't listening. You were talking about short boards, so
yeah, fair one.
Choppy face beard or whatever it was.
Right, choppy face beard board. I went with the Firewire mashup helium,
right,
which is a complete curveball. But listen, Firewire, I've got an overstock they're trying to clear worldwide post-COVID. Hence, people have probably seen it already by the time this comes out for sure. There's like 20% plus discount on all their boards worldwide because they're just trying to get rid of stock. So I felt I had to do it.
Felt obliged, yeah.
I felt obliged. That was my treat to myself. And something that I just wanted to mention it because it never crossed my mind, the responsibility that especially bigger surf shops, board suppliers, including board makers, have the responsibility they have to the surfing environment. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is surfing etiquette. So we can all be in the water and get pissed off at the new Grom that turns up or somebody that's just started surfing. But how about we educate them? Where do they get educated? It annoys me, people that just get annoyed at people who are learning to surf. I'm like, why don't you educate them? And then maybe they won't make that mistake again. Yeah. So it never crossed my mind that actually people might buy their first board. They might have never surfed. They might have bought a board before they've started surfing. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the responsibility. So when my board turned up from Board Shop, opened up this little package, and in it was a leaflet, a really idiot's guide leaflet to surf etiquette with pictures and some writing to tell you what right of way means, don't drop in, how to paddle out and get out of the way. And I thought, do you know what? I've never seen that anywhere, and I'd be curious if anyone else does that. But how thoughtful is that? So from the off, really when someone's buying a board from the off, they're already getting told about etiquette.
Yeah.
And this lovely little leaflet that nobody else can see, but you can.
I can see it. Yeah, it looks lovely, mate.
It's lovely. Yeah. And I just thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, and your board looks adequate for a short board as well.
It will be adequate. Yeah. It's a 510. It's like 35 litres, and it's going to be a weapon. Problem is, because it's a stock board, it's got no Mitchell tartan on it. And
I think that's why I thought it looked nice.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely concerned that I won't want to ride it because it's got no Mitchell tartan on it. So I'm in the process of sorting that
out. Yeah. Well, shall we get on with the questions and answers? Because otherwise this is going to turn into a 3-parter.
Definitely. Right. So this is going to be part 1 then.
This is going to be part 1, yeah.
And I'm going to kick it off.
Go for it. Because
this one is from the Salty Safa. My good friend Sean, probably my favourite South African.
Lovely fella.
Lovely fella. And so here we go. Peeing in your wetsuit. You don't do it. That's aimed at me.
Yeah.
You don't do it. So I sit next to you and share mine. What an absolute trump.
I bet he does as well.
100% no, he does. That's the sort of thing the Salty Safa would do.
Yeah.
And this opens up the debate.
Well, we've actually done some research on this question as well.
Research.
So
but before we go into the research though, are you a peer or not?
Normally not, because I normally don't need to go. But if I'm out there and I'm desperate and I've paddled, it's a hard paddle out, I'm just going.
I will go to the effort of paddling miles back in to de-wetsuit of a pee and paddle back out.
Nah.
It's howling. It stinks. It's disgusting.
Have you not seen like Rip Curl do one? It's Rip Curl Piss Off, it's called, and it's like wetsuit cleaner.
Just because there's a cleaner to go with it doesn't make it right.
Well, obviously. So, right, I asked Jerome from Surface Wetsuits, right? And I asked him, does it cause any long-term damage to your wetsuits or anything? And he said, check with our product manager. Interesting question. However, we do not see that it would cause any damage to material of construction in any way. We haven't done any scientific testing, to be honest, just from a personal experience. Sorry, but what are you going to do when it's 5 degrees outside and you're in the middle of an epic session, I can say that I've never had any damage to any of my wetsuits. So we know Jerome does it from Surface. And but so no, it doesn't cause any damage, I don't think, to your wetsuits.
Well, okay. And I agree with that because the research I've done would suggest the same. There's no long-term damage. There's no long-term damage as long as you clean your wetsuit.
Yes.
Is the difference.
I don't,
from what I've read.
Yeah. If I'm ever out there and I get caught short and I have to take a shit in my wetsuit and I have to pee in my wetsuit, and when I come home I always clean it and wash it out properly.
So I always clean my wetsuits anyway because I think they cost too much money to not look after them. But the thing I've established from my research is that it's not necessarily the long term isn't damaging seams and glues and all that sort of stuff, or damaging your wetsuit in any way, shape, or form. So what it can do is create an algae build-up, almost like the wave, actually. Maybe that's the problem the wave have got. Too many people peeing in the bloody pool.
Yeah.
So it can cause a build-up of algae.
That's fucking rank, that is, at the moment. So many people have said to me they are not going in there till it's like sorted.
Well, I know the chlorine levels, from what I'm told, are fine. But though I saw somebody shared a link yesterday, actually, I never read the full article, but it was about even if the chlorine levels are right, is algae harmful to people? Yeah. I need to read that because I'd be curious. But I'm sure they invest a lot of time and money into that stuff. But yeah, that needs to be sorted quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can have a build-up of algae and sort of horrible things in your wetsuit if you don't clean it. And the other thing that I researched was this. I'm going to read this out. It's actually off a diving website. So peeing yourself can make a cold dive much warmer. Okay, so similar for surfing, right? Unfortunately, the effects are temporary and counterproductive. Warm urine fools the body into thinking it's no longer in a cold environment. So when a cold, fresh flush happens through your wetsuit, your body isn't necessarily prepared. Now you're worse off than before because your body has got to expend extra energy to warm up that water. If the fresh water hasn't been introduced, it's either because your suit hasn't got that bit's irrelevant. So basically what it's saying is that once you pee in your wetsuit, your body's then thinking it's warmer than it actually is.
Yeah.
So if you get a cold water flush, your body's going to be more likely to go into some state of shock than it would be. So I think we've explored this to death. So the answer is that seemingly it doesn't damage wetsuits.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it for warmth in the cold, it's counterproductive. And you're a fucking tramp.
This podcast is brought to you by Mitch's Opinions.
Well, that's so. Up in Saltburn a while ago, they were doing clean up the ocean and all that sort of really good stuff. And there was this thing. There was the banner that I saw on the beach was a massive sign, and all it said was, "The sea is not your toilet." To these companies and stuff. Yeah. And all I was thinking when I saw that was, well, if you pee in your wetsuit, the sea literally is your toilet. It really is your actual toilet. So,
Yeah.
There you go. Peeing on wetsuits.
So, next question.
So this is from Strolling Men Blog. Great name. Pete, when did you first learn to turn on a longboard? Do you find it harder on smaller ones? So, yeah, I can answer that question directed straight at Pete.
When did I first? Well, I'll tell you when it happens. To be honest, I'll let you know on the show when the first time I learned to turn a longboard.
You can turn a longboard. I've seen it.
We were talking about this.
You turned it round in your van, didn't you? It was in the wrong way.
Yeah, that's it. No, it is. It's one of those things. It is. It's totally different to short. Like the way we were talking about this before. The way it moves, you move differently on a longboard or a shortboard. Where you've got to do that. I think you lean more on a longboard. And you can't turn it like you can on a shortboard. I think, in memory, I haven't surfed on a shortboard for years. I've surfed a mid-length, and the way you turn that is more like you turn a skateboard. You swing your body and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With a longboard, because it's so long, it's more like looking and leaning, and you just turn into it.
So you need more body into it to get that rotation.
Yeah. I mean, you see the guys like Ben Skinner and that, and they can turn them like a shortboard, but
they do. Yeah,
but you're asking the wrong person for that. Go and ask Ben Skinner how you do that, because I ain't got a clue.
And the second part of that question was asking if you find it easier on a smaller longboard. I think you ride a mid-length, don't you?
Yeah, I've got mid-length. Yeah, mid-length. I find it a lot easier to turn a mid-length. Yeah. Well, you're a short board, so you've got longboard as well.
Yeah, so my mid-length that I've got a BP Mini from Forth in ESE construction, which just makes it like super light, but super dense as well and strong.
Yeah.
And I got that mid-length, and admittedly, it's the short end of a mid-length. It's a 6.6, but it's still a mid-length nonetheless. And I got that board purposely.
That's not a mid-length. That's a short board.
Hey, take it up with Luke Hart at Forth Surfboards. It's a mid-length, right?
It's a fucking short board, that is.
And I got that board, like I said, I wanted to reset some of my flaws. Firstly was the pop-up we've spoke about many times. And secondly, it was just to give me more confidence. I sit really deep, meaning I'm further out from the beach when I try and take off. So I take off on a short board, generally with longboarders, because I know I need to counteract my pop-up. So I need to be on a wave early so I can actually get to my feet properly. And for that reason, naturally you're going to miss a lot of waves because I'm sitting way too far out.
Yeah.
And then I got that mid-length, and actually that's what it done. So it changed my mindset massively. And that when I went back to my short boards, firstly, I was paddling onto waves, regardless of whether I did or didn't catch them. I was thinking I was going to catch them, which I think the mind space is a massive part of it. It's really important. If you think you're probably gonna.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you do or you don't. And the second thing was, I remember I was genuinely worried that when I would go back down to my short boards, that I just wasn't going to be able to surf them. They were going to feel too, like skateboard wobble, too loose under my feet.
Yeah.
But because I found it hard to turn the mid-length, because it was more technique-based as opposed to me just trying to go, turn, and it wouldn't. When I went on the shortboard, I still remember the first wave I caught. Honestly, I mean, I know it's an exaggeration, but when I went to do a turn, it was like the fins came out the back, like I whipped the board so much because I've been trying so hard on the mid-length that when I went on the shortboard, actually it gave me some release.
Yeah.
So the mid-length for me done everything, and obviously it's harder to turn.
So that same sort of thing. I was out surfing with Leighton and his boy was using my mid-length. And we swapped over so he could have a go on my longboard. He hated longboarding with a passion. But I got on the mid-length and literally I turned it. I was literally turning like 180 nearly. I was like, oh my God, it's like so loose. So that it's definitely harder. Just, I suppose you compare it turning a lorry to turning a car. It's harder
of course.
to turn that bigger thing. But first time I did it, I can't even remember the first time I turned it. It was sort of, I think going back would be starting off going, that thing where everyone starts and they just go straight, and then slowly started like leaning and only going right for about 20 years. Just go right, just go right. Yeah, but it's a left, go right anyway. And it was just that sort of thing, just slowly started to turn and lean into it. And that was the first time I think turned a longboard, but I can't even remember when that was. Years ago.
Well, I think everyone shortboard, longboarder should have a mid-length in their quiver.
Yeah.
It just adds such a different aspect to surfing and shows you another version of the same thing,
Yeah. All right. Well, next question from Scarlett Hathaway, and that is, what's your opinion on female surfers are portrayed by guys? So basically, how do you think female surfers are portrayed by guys?
I guess it's a bit of a loaded question, but I'll try and answer it in a I guess, an honest fashion from my own perspective.
Yeah.
And I can't speak on behalf of anyone else because, everyone's going to think of everyone different and have a different opinion. But I guess I don't. It depends what the female's doing. Yeah. If there's a female in the lineup who's dropped in on me 3 times purposely, then I'm going to get pretty pissed off as it would a bloke. But I'm not paddling out looking at who is necessarily in the lineup. Like I just see surfers. Same with kids,
That's the thing I was going to say. Same sort of thing. I know there are people out there that have that thing where they don't like female surfers.
Is there though?
I think there is. But we've had this conversation before, and I think it's changing as well. But like we had this conversation before when, if you look at something like the skateboarding industry, like it's taken people that, like, it's starting to change now, where it's becoming more accepting and more like equal across as it goes. Because like 20 years ago, hardly any women skated or surfed. Really, there was women surfers, but there wasn't as many.
Yeah.
And the more they've started doing it, and for whatever reason, I don't know what the politically correct way of saying it is, but you know, it used to be that thing, didn't it, of women that stayed at home and didn't do stuff like that. And I don't know if that's because they were told they couldn't, or just a lot of them didn't. But the more they're doing it, and the more they've been doing it over the last 20 years, you're starting to see it fill out now. And hopefully now you'll start seeing more female shapers and more females representing and stuff like that. And there's plenty of clubs around. So I think they're quite accepted, and it's quite a good mix now. Of like, I surf with Zoe all the time. She's a female surfer. She's bloody brilliant.
I think you just hit the nail on the head for me anyway with a line, I guess, and the word accepted.
Yeah.
Because it's not a case of, you have to ask permission.
Yeah.
That's all. But I think accepted, what you're meaning is that it's not a thing. Like, it's not. No, I like to hope nobody's paddling out and going, "Oh my God, there's females in lineup."
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. That shouldn't be a thing. And I hope there isn't people like that.
Yeah.
Because that's just wrong. I just hope there isn't arseholes in the lineup. Yeah. That's my only thing. The only thing when I paddle
doesn't
out,
matter if you're male or female. If you're an arsehole, you're an
exactly.
arsehole.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly it. And the thing is, the opportunity is there for anyone. I don't think, without going down a political minefield, it's not a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
If that's the goal, then I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah, well, I looked this up before. So there's, I think, 70%, like it's about 70-30 to male to female surfers now. And back in the 90s...
in the UK?
Worldwide. And in the 90s, because I was having a conversation, so I looked up this before. I think in the 90s, it's about 10 or 15% were women. And now it's like 20 or 30%. So it's going in the right direction. And that accepted isn't like, oh, yes, we accept you. It's accepted as in like, I don't give a shit if you're a bloke or a woman. If you want to surf, go surfing.
Yeah. All I want to see is people out there that want to be there.
Yeah.
Because I stoke for other people catching waves. I get mega stoked as much as I do when I'm on waves myself. Yeah. So as long as I want to see people that do that and bring a vibe to the lineup.
Yeah.
That's for me, that's all that matters. So if you want to surf, and if you don't.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, fair enough.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Where are we next? Right. Oh, it's right. So from Brad.H, integrated hood, vest with hood, or just a separate hood? ? Shears.
This is a sore subject.
Oh, is it?
So,
why?
Well, I spoke about it with Leighton ages ago, and I made the mistake. I bought I think it was an O'Neill suit or something ages ago with a hood built in, and I fucking hated it. Absolutely.
You don't like it with a hood built in?
I prefer, personally, a rash vest with a hood, which I've got a Rip Curl one, which is a really good one. It's like an armless rash vest that goes underneath your wetsuit, and then
I know the ones.
And then it's got a hood built in. That hood was looser, so it was a lot. It just felt nicer. You could move more freely. Whereas in my O'Neill one, I find it really tight on my big Swede, and I just can't and I end up surfing it with round my neck half the time, choking me out. So I'm like surfing, like catching a wave, like.
So I think the fact that you said that highlights the point of personal preference, because I am going to 100% disagree with everything you've just said and say you're talking utter bollocks for a few reasons. Firstly, I think that it was only maybe a couple of years ago I got my first ever, it might even be last year, I got my first wetsuit with a hood attached to it.
Yeah.
I'd never actually, I think it was probably 6 years of me surfing before I even bought a winter wetsuit. I always wore a summer, 4 mil would be the max.
Yeah.
And in the winter, I would just put on a rash vest without a hood.
Yeah.
And it never bothered me, ever, until I got a hood. And then I was like, oh my God, I realized what I was missing out. But the first hood I had was, like you said, attached to a rash vest.
Yeah.
Sort of sleeveless tank top thing. Not big enough to just wear that on its own. I mean, that's its own look.
Yeah.
I know enough people that do that. And I remember I know it's proper vain, right? But when I didn't need it, I hated it. Because when I had it on, because I had my GoPro on my board, because I was kind of really trying to learn my own surfing. And I'm saying that I had my GoPro on my board because I tried to learn my own surfing. It was clearly the vanity piece for Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So I could get the photos that looked like I was about to get tubed, but actually I was wiping out as a wave was breaking near me.
Oh, yeah. That's all mine are like that.
So I realised that I got like proper fish face, like that on the GoPro. So I was like, oh, I can't do that. So I decided to cut the hood off the rash vest. So I could still use the hood. I could still use the rash vest. But then I should have cut it lower. So you had this like almost like a Victorian, like a seam necklet coming out, and it looked horrendous. It looked terrible. And so then I did get just a normal hood that you can buy separate, not attached to the rash vest.
Yeah.
And then so what I've discovered with them is that they can, if you get a serious wipeout. I have surfaced before on a big wipeout and the whole hood has covered my face. So when I think I've breached the water to take a breath and it's still dark, I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I? Where am I? What's going on? And the other thing, and here's my fundamental reason as to why you shouldn't use a rash vest under a wetsuit.
I know what you're going to say. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say it's because your wetsuit doesn't work properly.
Yes, because I've told you that before. So what I want to use, and I suspect it'll be the same for Seaskins, for the Halo X and RD8, O'Neill Techno Butter, they work on contact with your skin, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of got lacerations, and as you move, they create friction. That's why they're able to be thinner. But like, again, using O'Neill, for example, they might call it a 5mm.
Yeah.
But physically, it might be a 3.5mm. They just call it a 5mm because that's what it's giving you.
Yeah.
And them lacerations create that friction, create that heat, meaning it can dry quicker and you stay warmer as long as you're moving. You put a layer underneath that, then you're stopping that from actually doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then, your expensive ass wetsuit might just become, like one of them ones they sell in Asda and Yuki during the summer that no one should ever buy.
Yeah, I don't fucking care, mate. I'm still wearing my one
Fair
underneath it. I don't care what you say. It's just that because the Rip Curl one I've got has got that inside it as well, so it's got that heat stuff inside.
Oh yeah, because you can buy a rash vest hood that's got the same element.
Yeah, so it's got that element in it. So I figure I'm not losing anything.
So I think I guess the answer to the question is a 100% personal preference.
The answer to the question
just do what I say.
The answer to the question is do what you fucking like.
This has ended up like one of these Top Gear, like advice, like old school Top Gear, obviously.
I haven't even gone into like just separate hood on its own. Like a separate hood on its own is just I've never got on with it. I saw someone that had like a skull cap. It looked like on, just a little bit on the top of their head, and they said it was really good, but. No. Now,
to be fair, they all work. That's the thing. And recently, it must have been the back end of winter before the water started warming up. I remember going up to Saltburn for a surf and forgot my hood. I did forget. I forgot my. Yes, that's right. Because I hadn't taken my hooded wetsuit back down to my barracks. So when I got to the beach, I realised in my van, because there's always a spare wetsuit in the van, I just had a 5.4 Seaskins wired without a hood. And I remember I paddled out and oh my God, like it was beyond, when your eyes hurt, your eyes are shut, but your eyes hurt. It's that cold in a duck dive.
Yeah.
I remember turning straight back round in the white water and I went and just bought a hood, like a separate hood from Gary.
Yeah.
It was like, I think the only one he had left was a completely different colour, like a proper looked a twat. But it worked. It still works, and be comfortable. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I think I've done that one to death.
Right. Yeah. Some of them we will get answers like that. Some of them will be short and sweet, like from Smelly Penguin. What a name, Smelly Penguin.
It's great, isn't it?
Do you guys watch the Longboard Championships on WSL? If so, who's your favourite surfer?
No, next question.
I don't watch the WSL like as it goes. I'll watch it. The only things I watch of it really is if I see people post stuff of it on Instagram.
I tend to watch most WSL events, but this year, weirdly, I haven't. I think I watched the opening event when Kelly Slater took it, which was amazing. But for some reason, I've just not had the want to watch it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I will watch longboarding, and man, I'm blown away by these guys. You know, like Ben Skinner. Nice to keep it at home as well. What that man can do on a longboard is just disgusting. Like, I honestly don't know how it's possible.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Ben on a shortboard. I know he can surf shortboard.
Yeah,
and I imagine
rips at that as well. Yeah,
destroy it. Like probably needs two.
Yeah,
one for each foot. But it's do you know what? Just I guess while we're there, Devin Howard. I love to see Devin Howard ride a longboard, and I think he's a WSL commissioner.
Yeah.
For longboard, and that guy, man. Again, I've said it before. How people on longboards make these massively steep drops baffles me. Like, if I look down, I'm like, I don't know how you're turning that before you get there.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say Taylor Jensen as well. He's like incredible to watch, you know. And there's great people to watch, but as I say, I don't really watch it myself. So I'd rather, as I said before, I'd rather be surfing than watching surfing.
No, definitely. That's the problem I've always found when I go to surf comps, is into watch them, like Boardmasters and whatever, because I remember the first year I went to Boardmasters and I sat on the beach watching. It was like shoulder to head high, I think. And I was watching thinking, oh, that's amazing. These guys and girls are like surfing so well. And then I was just looking at the empty peak next to them, like, I'm going out. You can't. It's, it's not for me, but I'd rather be in the water, like you say.
Yeah.
Right. Here we go. Next. TomTom Instagram. That's a mouthful, but TomTom Instagram or Instagram ham. It could be TomTom Instagram ham. I want TomTom Instagram ham to confirm. Is it TomTom Instagram or is it TomTom Instagram ham? Who can do the highest ollie?
Well, me.
Probably Tony Hawk.
No.
What, Tony Hawk, you can do a higher ollie than Tony Hawk?
Yeah, Tony Hawk can't ollie properly. Plus, he's got busted up femur, so he's still not doing skateboarding properly. So I can definitely ollie higher.
Oh, what a lizard! Oh, well, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that question wasn't out the entire world. No. I mean, I can't skateboard for toffee.
Well, actually, it used to be Danny Wainwright, and he had an ollie of like, I think it was like 55 inches or something like that, or 48 inches. It was like ridiculous high.
Bloody hell!
And
that's nuts.
Yeah, someone's beat that now in the highest ollie competition. But out of you and me, because you can't skateboard.
But if I could, you'd probably still destroy me. I couldn't even do one of them. You know, them finger skateboards people have. I don't even think I couldn't ollie that.
Tech deck, no.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Tech deck.
Yeah. Right. Next question.
I'm glad you're reading this
from
one.
the Surf Skate Academy. So this is a trick question. I know it is.
A trick question.
And it goes back as well. A 5mm wetsuit, can it be warmer than a 6mm wetsuit? And I can answer this from personal experience.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. Because I can't say yes if you're going in like minus stupid degrees water, like if you're surfing in Norway in the middle of winter or something. But in the UK, I've had a 5mm and a 6mm. And I think the 5mm, I seem to remember, felt warmer because I had more movement in it. So the 6mm was like kept me quite like stiff and rigid, so I wasn't moving around as much. So I seemed to get colder quicker, or that's how it felt.
Okay. So I think as well, going back to the O'Neill thing I mentioned before, can a 5mm wetsuit be warmer than a 6mm? Well, an O'Neill 4mm or a 4+, they might call it. Sorry, no, an O'Neill 5mm. What am I trying to say? An O'Neill 5mm. So let's start this again.
I'm going to go.
So, an O'Neill 6mm might only be 4.5mm physically. So, it's probably going to be better than most 6mm you can buy anyway.
Yeah.
Generally. But here's the other thing, and going back to personal preference, and I've said this a lot of times, we could all the listeners on the show could wear the exact same wetsuit, tailored to them, the right size, everything else, but have the most contrasting experiences possible. So just because it works for me doesn't mean it works for you and the next person and so on and so forth. So I think there's definitely a trick in that question, and I'm sure Seb will be messaging me as soon as he hears our dreadful answers.
Well, yeah, but that's the person. Like personally, that's what I think. I think it can be warmer because of that more movement.
Also, it depends on the wetsuit manufacturer, because you could buy a really cheap wetsuit, which, like you said, has no movement. It's just old school, proper neoprene rubber.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily working. It might just be a barrier between you and the water without any coolness going on.
Yeah. So that's what I think. Yeah. So I think it depends on the inside of what's in it and how much movement you've got. And like, I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Right. From Alex.Red Herring. What's one thing you've learnt that made a huge difference in your surfing?
Oh,
that's actually a deep question.
It is. When I saw that, and I was like, yeah. And then when you think about it, I couldn't put one thing that's made a huge difference. Well, actually, I can put one thing that's made a huge difference: getting out more.
Getting out more is going to be huge, isn't it? I think water time is everything.
Yeah.
And I think also if you surf all the time, you probably don't appreciate how hard it is for some people to go for a surf.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I remember when I saw that question and I thought about it for ages, and I had a really good answer, and it's completely gone out of my mind what I thought within that question.
There's
what's made a huge difference?
Many things.
I think
changing road, that's made a huge difference. Like when you get out, there's all sorts of little things that make huge differences, and I think experience, I suppose, is
experience.
Yeah,
learning.
Yeah.
What's made the biggest difference to me in my surfing is my VW.
Yeah.
so here we go. I'm going to make a list, right? Top 3. Number 1 is my VW Transporter.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the diesel heater within my VW Transporter.
Yeah.
And number 3 is a bloody good wetsuit. They've all made a huge difference.
Yeah.
But actually, in a serious answer, I think learning to not really care about what other people have to say and think about your surfing. Because for me, I remember starting out, and everybody that surfs a bloody expert. They'll tell you about prevailing winds and how sandbars work, and oh my God, this tide, this break, and all this nonsense almost to try and baffle your mind.
Yeah.
But they don't know you. They don't know your restrictions. So when I was getting, even still now, oh mate, what's wrong with your pop-up? Like, all you've got to do is pop up. Yeah, cheers, dits.
Yeah.
Like, I know, but you don't know the issues I face within that and the things that hold me back. So I think that's what's made a difference in my surfing, is learning just to appreciate if people are trying to give you advice, but at the same time, take it with a pinch of salt and learn yourself. Learn yourself, because only you can figure out you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Good answer.
Thanks.
Right. Next one. Angie Wade. I find it tricky to catch steep waves. They don't have to be especially big. Any tips?
I think that's a really good question, to be fair. And I think, we actually already mentioned steep waves on longboards and how people do it.
Angle takeoff.
But the thing is, it depends how steep the wave is, because if it's crazy steep, you don't necessarily... And the thing is, when angle takeoff, I tend to angle... Again, it depends on the wave, right? But I tend to angle into the shoulder, not into the direction that I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
Because that's where the power is. And my bottom turn might not be good enough to generate power. So I figure if I can get back into the shoulder, and then... But I turn as I'm popping.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, if I'm going right, my right hand, I'll dig that rail, put more pressure on that rail as I'm trying to pop up, and it starts the board turning.
Yeah.
So as I'm taking off left to go right, I'm already turning the board, sort of down the face. So a steep wave, I'm probably not the right person, because I think the key is speed.
Yeah.
If it's steep, speed is everything. What I mean by that is get into your feet and get in control of your board, which is where I struggle, because I always end up on this horrible knee up.
Yeah.
But it's just like the amount of times people have seen me going down the face on a knee on a big wave.
That is the thing. When you get a steep wave, like even like you said it before, the wave, like taking off at the wave on a longboard, it's that same thing of like you've got to get up quick, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah, getting up quick. If you can angle your takeoff, it does help, but I think it's just getting up quick and, trying to match the speed of that wave with your paddling.
I would equally try and get on that wave earlier if at all possible, and that's going to come down to surf strength. And if you need some surf strength training, we know a man.
I know for a fact Angie already uses him.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, there you go. Well, in answer to your question, I would say Alan's not providing you the right training. More bottle hops. More bottle hops required. Right. So, Dan, what? Dan, what? How long does it take to get a good confident level of surfing?
I'll let you know when I get there.
I'll let you know when I get there. When I first started learning to surf, somebody very credible in fact, told me that it takes 10 years to learn how to surf. And that obviously doesn't mean 10 years before you catch your first wave, which to be fair is probably not far off for me. But that also means that this year I'm going to be able to surf, because I think next year is my 10-year point.
Yeah.
But I think how long does it take to get credible at surfing? I think it's a question. To get confident. Credible.
Good and confident level. A good confident level. That's the same on how much you go out, isn't it?
It is, but it comes naturally so fast to some people. Yeah. And I've got friends like that who have taken up surfing and been that good that quick. And equally, like myself, surfing does not come easy to me. It's taken me a long time, and I would, in all honesty and jokes aside, I'm always told that I shouldn't put my surfing down as much as I do, but I'm happy in my ability and I'm happy to talk about it. It gives me no gripes what people think. Yeah. And I know for me how well I do or not. And I would say in the last year has been my biggest progression, both in ability, but in confidence that goes with it. And even being in the sea, like, I'm not a natural water baby. I'm a terrible swimmer, like awful swimmer. I don't use my legs. They just drag behind me, slow me the fuck down when I swim. So in this last year, but that's come with, I wouldn't necessarily in that instance say it's been water time. It's just having been in the right place at the right time with the right people to be in a position where I might not have gone there myself and done it.
Yeah.
Maybe push my limits a little bit more.
Yeah.
And perhaps had I been doing that from the start with the right people on the right equipment, and also equipment, that's made a huge difference to me. It's only, again, this year or so, I've probably got on boards that suit my ability better.
Yeah, I think if you're going to sum that up, there's a couple of things that come into that, which is, like you said, surfing with the right people or surfing with decent people around you. They're going to help you and make you progress and move you forward and push you and challenge you. Going out as much as you can and getting the right equipment. Those are the things that are going to push you into that thing. And I mean, how long's a piece of string? It just depends on your ability. Yeah. It's personal. That's the problem. A lot of these questions the answers are our own personal. What's the word I'm looking for?
Experience and opinions. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that's probably what people want to hear, because it's an honest reflection from our ability. Yeah. And to answer your question, a piece of string is 2/8 longer than 3/4.
Yeah.
It's exactly that long.
Brilliant. Anyway, next question.
So next, I'm going to go to the other list of.
Go on then.
I'm going to go to the other list of questions.
You do that, and I'll carry on this list. So I got next one. Go on, you go next one then. Go on.
Right. So, Kakasandre asked, coldest temperature you surfing?
You better answer that.
Okay. Interestingly, when it's, because I've been sort of recently thinking, is it time for boots yet? And then I surfed at home not long ago before I knew, as you would say, I was getting dishonorably discharged from the army.
Yes.
No, I'm not. But I surfed up here at home during a recent storm, and I remember paddling out, and actually the water was weirdly still mild for the time of year. So I was fine without boots, hood and gloves. I was just on a 5mm. I went back down to Yorkshire and surfed Saltburn the same week, and same thing, paddled out, and man, my feet and hands were freezing. Now, yes, up in Scotland, the water tends to be colder, at least on the east coast. I think the further north you go, the warmer again it starts to get.
Yeah.
But I looked actually today, the water temperature is 10 degrees here. That's what it is now. So it's dropping pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I think through the winters, I'm sure last winter it got down to about 4-5 degrees maybe, which is horrendously cold. And salt water as well, which is super heavy and dense. That's seriously cold water. I think when I surfed in the Falklands as well, I don't know what the temperature was, but same thing. It was crazy cold, but never colder than here.
You're going to actually answer the question.
So about 4 degrees.
That would have fucking done. I don't know. Like a similar sort of thing. I've surfed in cold water stuff, and it's just horrendous. Your body gets sapped of energy so quickly. You just feel weak so quickly, and it's just not fun.
The thing is with cold water surfing, it really teaches you how your love of surfing, you know?
Yes.
Like if you're willing to paddle out when it is that cold, when every duck dive is agony, when it hurts your eyeballs and it freezes your brain. Like if you're going to go out in that, you're going to go out in any temperate, you know? Like that's a good sign, I think.
I don't think that's a good point actually. Like if you've not surfed in really cold water or you've not surfed in the winter, you got to go and try it just for the experience of like your head going under the water and that brain freeze you get from ice cream being like 10 times as bad, and it just instantly your whole head feels like it goes completely numb. Yeah.
And then when you know there's 6 more waves in that set coming at you, it's just a horrendous feeling.
And then you get out, the wind's blowing so hard it feels like it's actually hitting your bones in your body. And, it's all awful, but it's great.
But it is, it is.
Jay Bannox says, kook shaming, making fun of beginners, funny or mean? Lol.
Lol. Oh man.
So
there's a divided opinion, isn't there?
It's
it's the context is I think
it's
what's
context.
Important here.
Like, so if you're taking the piss out of someone because they're like, I don't agree with the ones where they're filming people and taking photos of them when they don't like and they don't know, you know. They're just like, oh, look at that person walking down the street in this.
Like a leash dragon.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think that's funny. Taking a piss out of your mates and kook shaming them is fucking hilarious.
I think, like you say, context is everything. Like I've got a couple of friends that you know, and I won't name them, but even the word kook, they will get so riled up about it, and quite right. You know, who in this world is good enough to be calling anyone else a kook, really, at surfing? But if you're using it in a, like you said, an absolutely serious, you know, look at this kook where, you know, he's got his leash on backwards or whatever it is, like, but they don't know any different. They're just starting surfing. How about you just educate them rather than be a dick? But at the same time, you know, when I see somebody getting a sausage roll and an Asda on Cook of the Day, I still find it hilarious. So, you know, I don't think people might disagree, but it's not. It is taking the piss.
Yeah.
So it is taking the piss. I can't get around it. It is taking the piss, but it's not hateful.
No.
I think that's my point. I think
that's what I meant.
If it's hateful, I think it's completely wrong, and no one's good enough to be calling anyone a kook. If Kelly Slater called me a kook, I'd fucking tie him up in a headlock. You know what I mean? Like, who are you to call me a kook?
I reckon he'd kick the shit out of you.
He probably would, because as we said, if he decided to get into that fight, you know he's only in it because he knows he can win it. So I'm done. Yeah. But, you know, I could then happily walk the street and be like, I got battered by Kelly. I'd take that as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think anyone's good enough to be calling anyone a kook if it's hateful.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, One Chase Horizon. When's the UK and Ireland surf tour and film coming out for you all? Shaka.
Do you know what? We are going to film when we go on our little tour,
we
aren't we?
Film.
We haven't even thought about going to Ireland. Maybe we should go to Ireland.
Yeah, no, there's some amazing. I've surfed Ireland a few times. There's some insane spots out there. I figure we could just push you out into Mullimore straight away.
I'd be well up for that. Yeah. We are going to film it when we do it. So there'll be a lot of video content and a lot of podcast video content. We still want to make further plans of where we're going yet and everything. But keep an eye on that.
It's a plan in the pipeline, but it's coming.
It's coming. It's definitely coming. Danny Williams photos, your dream guest to have on the show. Well, yours would be yourself, wouldn't it?
Well, I've already been on, so it's not going to happen, is it? Dream guest to have on the show.
I'd say Jerry Lopez would be pretty cool.
I don't. It's a tough one because I think I learn more from I want to say real people.
Yes,
but
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? Like, not
people that have been
these...
asked a million questions a million times, and they're just going to give you either generic answers or know what they're going to. They've already got a preconception of what they're going to say in their head.
Like, I know I would learn more asking Seb questions about surfing than I would one of these crazy world icon idols, because I can relate to him and he's a mate.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to answer that, because it's a kind of part question of who do you think's the biggest surfer, like in your eyes sort of thing.
I see that more as a who would you love to chat to. Like, it doesn't have to be like the best surfer in the world. Like, obviously I'd love to chat to like Jerry Lopez, Kelly Slater, people like that, that are like have been at the top of their game and been such innovators and have done so many things that you could ask them questions about. But then, have great fun just chatting to like normal people as well, like you say, like, and sometimes you learn stuff about them which you're like, oh yeah, and you learn stuff about yourself off them as well. Then
Yeah, totally. Because I think, like, for example, Ben Gravy was such a good interview because it was just a laugh, wasn't it? It was fun, and I'm all about that. I would need to be able to have a laugh with a person, but I think I would be keen to speak to Kai Lenny if I had the opportunity.
Yeah,
because I think for me he is an innovator, and for me I think he's the modern version of that. I think he's done so much for the sport and with other water sports to combine and push forward and push boundaries.
Yeah.
So I guess, Kai Lenny, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, from my friend Dean Sion Pierce, and he was the guy you might remember who I didn't meet at the beach bar.
Oh, yes.
For listeners of the show, because I ended up surfing.
Yeah.
And Dean, he's asking, sunrise or sunset surf?
Sunset.
Every time.
Next.
I'm so bad at mornings.
I hate them. I hate the sunrise surfs. I never have a good one, as well as I've had the best surfs at sunsets always.
I've also got a 95% fail rate when it comes to yawnies.
Yes.
Because they just never work. And also, this morning I woke up about 5:30 and I looked out my window because the sky was proper morning, beautiful sunrise.
Yeah.
Opened one eye, looked at it over the water, and I was like, went straight back to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to appreciate that at any time in the morning.
No.
If there was elves flying and all sorts, I wouldn't care. Like, back to sleep. So sunset, always.
Yeah. So next question comes from Dan Sup Surf Skate. And he says, why have you never surfed your local natural surf spot before? Seven Bore. Dudes, really? FFS. Because you've never invited me to go with you, and I don't know where I'm going, and it's one of those things where everyone I've spoken to is like, yeah, you need to know where you're going, know where to get in. And I've said to people, take me surfing with you on a Seven Bore, and none of them ever respond to me, so no one wants to actually go with me.
So that sounds like an open invite, and I don't live there, so
yeah.
But I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Yeah. Get Mitch on a longboard surfing that'd be good.
I would happily surf a foamy down there.
So
over some dead cows and whatever.
Dan Surfs Up Skate, next one. If you want to invite me along, I'll come up and I'll surf it with you.
We'll make a film about it if we all go.
Yes.
Right. Yano.knack. Yano.knack. Where do you look when you paddle into the wave before popping up? Now, I mean, I know where I should be looking, but I also know what I am doing. So, the sort of DS answer, the coach answer, is you want to be looking where you want to go.
Yeah.
But I know that's often not the case. And the idea being
where you want to go or 2 foot in front of your board.
Yeah. Idea being that your head's looking there and your body will follow.
Yeah.
Something that I try so hard to do, but it's so easy to quickly look back down at my hands to see what they're actually doing and where they're placed before I pop up. So I think the answer is try and...
That's what I was going to say. Where do you look? My hands.
Well, it's not just
me. Excitement of going, I'm on a wave. Yeah.
So I try and look where you want to go. That's what
you're supposed to do. But in reality, it's anywhere but where you're supposed to be going, because there's so much going on, isn't there? You're paddling, you look behind you, making sure you're in the right position for the wave. You look back at the board, you make sure your positioning's right. You look down the wave where you want to go, and then you're looking back. You're looking all over the place, but the proper answer should be you look where you want to be going.
Look where you want to go, and that's ideal. Because also that keeps your head up, and it gets that weight on the tail and engages your fins.
Yeah.
Next.
Ruben Lawson. Yo, what's your go-to meal deal after a good surf?
Right, okay. Favourite meal deal? I mean, I'm guessing it's not specific to any specific supermarket.
Yes. This show is brought to you by Sainsbury's.
It's fucking not. Fuck off. It would be Lidl, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, this show is brought to you by Poundland.
I started. Well, we'd rather Dollarland because that's worth more than pounds.
No, let's not go down that route.
Yeah. I would. Years ago, I started this thing about. In my head, I decided that if I had a good surf, right, or if I had one good wave in a session, or a good session in general, that was the justification for me to get a takeaway that night, until the point where, you know, I'd start having sessions where I'd have like a good surf, like maybe 5 nights in a row, and I've spent £100 on curry. But I still, to this day, I still do that. So generally my go-to is probably a Chinese after a good session.
Mine's normally followed by an hour and a half drive home. It's whatever I can stuff in my face while I'm driving. It's normally crisps and other shit. But lately I've been going to, when I've surfed Saunton, I've been going to, I think it's called Hang Loose. They do a nice breakfast. And I went in there with my mate the other Sunday when we surfed down there, and we wanted to get a breakfast. And they were doing roast dinners, probably one of the best roast dinners I've ever had, actually. It was bloody amazing. So,
amazing. And I would say...
a good cafe after a cold surf, I like.
Good cafe, yeah. And I guess, I mean, I'm not a nutritionist per se, but I guess what a nutritionist would say, I guess what a nutritionist may say is after, especially a long session, if you've burnt off a lot of energy and calories, probably a red Leicester and chorizo toasty from the Cheesy Toast Shack in St Andrews, East Sands Beach. That's where it's at. Yeah. That's what a nutritionist may say.
Yeah.
Right. Next, adrenaline athlete. Oh, well, bloody lizard arms.
Skip.
T-Rex arms. Right, well, okay, Alan, we're not reading that one out. Fact. Second one from adrenaline athlete. What are your thoughts on inflatable mattresses? This is a reference to his little T-Rex arms poking out.
I didn't know if that was a reference to that or like the mattress surfing that people are doing, you know? You seen the mattress surfing?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah. I got a mate that surfs on one of them actually in St Andrews, and he surfs it pretty well, to be fair, catches loads of waves.
Yeah.
But I'm confident that is a reference to Alan's clearly too heavy for an expensive luxury inflatable mattress, which he bust.
Yeah.
And I just saw his little T-Rex hands sticking out like a Barbie doll. Help me!
But if it is to do with mattress surfing, which it probably isn't because it's Alan, but I think that same sort of thing. Like if you're surfing, it doesn't matter what you're surfing. If you're body surfing, if you're using the hand, playing things,
enjoy it.
Just enjoy it, have a good time.
Although that said, I would love to take an inflatable double mattress into the lineup and just see what happens.
Well, yeah.
I think it would be a lot of fun.
Not your one, though, because you'd just be swallowed inside it, and that would be...
Well, only if I was out for 3 or 4 hours on it.
Yeah. Right. Wink JB93 has said, if the UK had the same level of sharks as Australia, would you still surf as much or surf alone?
I think the thing is, right, with sharks is that if you grow up somewhere where from a young age you're used to surfing with sharks, or they thought that sharks may be in the lineup, it's probably quite normal.
Yeah.
If I went and surfed out there, you know, in Kirkcaldy, and suddenly there was a pack of sharks, if they swim in packs.
What do you want, mate? I'll have a pack of sharks, please, mate.
Pack of sharks, mate. I would clearly shit myself.
Yeah.
However, if I grew up here and there was always sharks, or the fear that sharks may be there, I think it would be completely normal.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't bother me. And to be fair, I think there's more chances of me getting stabbed in Kirkcaldy on the beach than there is somebody in Australia getting bitten by a shark.
Well, I was speaking to people that have like grown up surfing with sharks, and like, so Dom surfing Australia, Gareth surfing South Africa, and there's sharks all in those places. And they said you learn when to go in and when not to go in the water. Normally people will tell you there is some fear of it. They have been like bumped in the legs and stuff like that, and like hit by something, which you just pull your legs up and get out of there quick. But yeah, personally, I think I shit myself knowing that there was like yourself, I don't know. I think it would affect me actually. Like, don't think I'd go in the water as much.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you grew up with it?
Yeah, even like seals in the water terrify me. I hate them. Like,
I remember paddling out in Biarritz, and I swam through or paddled through a school of fish, and I grabbed them in my hand, and I was fucking terrified. Yeah. and I could see they were just fish. Well, I just hate how they feel.
I was sat in the water the other day. When was it? Last Sunday before. Sat down in the water, and a fish jumped out the water like about 4 foot from me. Which I'm thinking, why the hell is a fish trying to get out of his natural habitat unless something's chasing him? What the hell is chasing him? Lift your feet up, quick.
And it was you, was it just you chasing it?
It must have been a seal or something, but it just, I don't know. It's that thing of not liking things in the water underneath you when you can't see it. I think if you had crystal clear water, it would make a difference.
Well, I was literally about to ask that as a follow-up question. If there was sharks and you knew there may be sharks and other things cutting about, and would you rather be in clean water so you could see it coming, or howling saltburn water and not be able to see it, but at least you can maybe relax more because you're not looking at every shadow and thinking, oh, what was that?
No, I'd rather be able to see it coming.
Would you rather be able to see it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I would definitely rather take my chances on land with a lion than a shark at sea.
Yeah.
100%. Because at least I know at least I can try and run.
Yeah, try.
You know, what are you doing in the water? Yeah, but I could climb up a tree.
Yeah. I don't know. So I was watching some programs on sharks and that about how rare it is for them to attack. I don't know. I'd rather. I think in that case scenario, I'd say put me in with the shark. But
all right, let's make it happen. Yeah. We'll film that as well.
Right. Today's film. This is Mitch v Lion, Pete v Shark.
You got to go straight to it, mate. Right. Is it Stu? Do you think Scotland should be promoting surfing more, bigging up the waves it actually has? And I was going to follow up on this just to confirm a little bit more of the question, but I didn't. So let's go with that. So do we think Scotland should be promoting surfing more and bigging up the waves it has? Because I think Scotland is people probably don't realise how big a platform Scotland is for surfing, and it's one of them. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess this question's aimed at me first. And I think the thing is, you probably don't realise it, but everywhere's promoting surfing. It's all over TV. Every other advert is surfing.
Yeah.
Energy drinks, car companies, they're all using surfing. So I think naturally the sexiness of surfing is everywhere. And this was what I wanted to follow up with. So if you're meaning should like the Scottish Tourist Board visit Scotland, places like that, if they should be promoting it, I absolutely think so. I don't mean they should be blowing up secret spots, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of the word secret spot. Yeah. I think if anyone can look at a map and look at a beach and understand swell directions, they can go put them together and go to that spot. They deserve to surf that spot.
I think that goes together with safety as well. There's reasons like you've got beaches like Newquay, and I can't think of any other one apart from Woolacombe, say something like that, you know, like beaches like that, or you've got beaches around where there are lifeguards and people who want to go and try surfing for the first time can go to a beach like that. But yeah, I think there's a difference between promoting it and, like you say, definitely blowing up spots which are...
Not necessarily selling it, but promoting, as long as it's coupled in with the safety aspects that go with it. And I think it should be getting done. That should be getting done from a young age. So yeah, I wholly agree that any nation should be promoting them sports. You know, like at the minute, surfing's not a huge sport, obviously, but it's getting there. Like, it's not ingrained like in Australia, for example, where everything's surfing.
Yeah.
You know, like we promote our football teams, our national squads, tennis, stars, all that sort of stuff get promoted.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think if it's done in the right way, then absolutely, because it's got so many health connotations that go with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Right. Next one I got here is: would you ever delve into fringe surfing, belly boards, body surfing, or nah? And that's from Viking Surfer.
Nah. So next question is from.
Would you ever try any of
No, I there's stuff I want to try for sure.
Yeah.
And I say that jokingly, like anybody that paddles out or goes out and uses the water, they deserve to be there, and hats off to them for being there and enjoying themselves. I just want to surf.
Yeah.
I just want to surf a shortboard, and it's not because I'm against anything else. I just fucking love it.
The thing is, I always see. I know. Some people are going to go like, "That's not right at all." But I always see the stuff like the fringe surfing, belly boards, body surfing is stuff that I'd do if I was at a beach with my family or a load of friends and we were just having a laugh. Surfing's like that thing you can go and do on your own, or you can go and do with your mates. And I don't know, I have that same thing now. I always just want to surf. So it's not something I wouldn't try. And I don't, when I see someone, like I see a video of someone doing it or see a post of someone doing it and they're making it look good, I think, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But it's not something I actively go out my way to, because if there's waves, I want to surf. That's it. That's it.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Alex.redherring for a second question. What advice would you give someone with a surfing injury that stops them surfing? I mean, we don't know the mechanism of your injury, and it's probably right to say that we are not medical professionals, so don't listen to anything that we're about to say.
Yeah.
And I think the common sense thing would be,
walk
if
it off.
Restricting use, get some heat spray, get some of the old Raljex on it.
Radion, I think it's called. I don't know.
No, Raljex. If it's stopping you surfing, then seek medical advice and or just man up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, great. I had a knee injury that was stopping me from skating and surfing for a while, and I had to go to physio and did some work on it, and then it strengthened up and got better. But that was like, I'd go to pop up or go to stand up or go to do something on the skateboard, and it just send a shooting pain straight down my leg.
Yeah, right, yeah.
There's ways around these things. You look at the adaptive surf team, there's ways around it, that if you've got an injury that's stopping you from surfing, go see the adaptive surf team, get in contact with Surfing England or Surfability or any of these. If you've got an injury that's stopping you from surfing, there are still ways to go and get out and do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you say, I think it just depends on the mechanism, because if it's a broken leg or something like that, then clearly time's what you need, and don't try and make it any worse. But if it's a long-term thing, there's absolutely, like Pete says, 100 ways around it, and reach out to these people that can help.
Yeah. Right, so Strolling Men blog, I think we've had one from them already, but another one off him is them is: any tips for getting out the back at Saunton on a bigger day?
I mean, this is your spot, I guess.
Yeah. Paddle harder. Honestly,
it's going to be coupled with two approaches, because of different types of surfers.
Yeah, the thing is, Saunton on a big day is a bastard. The amount of people I've been surfing with and friends I've spoken to, and they're always like, it's a hellish paddle out. It's just a nightmare. And I think the thing with that question would be the answer: if you can't paddle out in that, you shouldn't be paddling out in that. That would be the honest answer of it. Tips and advice would be you just got to go there on smaller days and just build up till you can surf that bigger day. But like Saunton on a big day, it's even just thinking about the paddle out makes me feel tired. It's just
is Saunton the one that's got you sort of go into the beach car park, you go straight out, and it's got the headland that runs for miles on the right as you look out.
Yeah,
and it goes round to
Croyd. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, so I've surfed that a couple of times. I think the biggest was maybe just overhead when I was there. On a short board, it was a hellish paddle out, I think. Yeah. But something I've always said, like a lot of my friends might go paddle out in the corners and the rips and stuff, and go the easy way out, or they might go a way that's 3 times longer, but an easier paddle. Like I will just, I mean, not a saunting, but I generally just paddle straight out. Wherever I want to be sitting, I will paddle straight out for a couple of reasons. One, I used to think I didn't have the paddle strength, but thanks to Alan, Adrenaline Athlete, I now do, to paddle further. But two, like you said, if I can't make it out there, that's telling me I shouldn't be out there. And actually, I think duck diving through these horrendous waves, or turtle rolling if you're on a longboard, these horrendous waves on the way out, if you're unable to do it, you shouldn't be there, but it's telling you a lot about the waves should you make it out. And you've already learned how much power's in them, how they're breaking and stuff. So I think that's the sort of advice if it's too much for you.
That'll do for this time. So join us again for part 2 of your question and answers. And there's some very interesting ones coming up.
There's some great questions coming up. And to be honest, for me, that was actually a lot of fun. Some of them questions, I had to go do a bit of research, and I know you did as well. And it was nice having to look and see, because there's things that, like you've said, we're not experts on it, and people shouldn't just listen to us because we say it. Do your own research and stuff. But it was nice to be able to go and do that. And some of the questions were brilliant.
So join us part 2 to hear the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
Bye.